Hi, my soapy friends. Today we're going to make a really simple soap. I'm using my go-to vegan palm-free recipe. Now, this is one of my custom orders. So over on my retail website, I have it set up so my customers can order custom batches of my base recipe, and they kind of have some options to modify it, add things in, basically. You can even make it coconut oil free. And I'm always delighted when I get an order for just a nice, simple, nothing too fancy. It's just some soap. So that's what we're doing today. See, people do love just a good bar of soap. I said kind of in the description, a lot of times we get so carried away with our color and design, the aroma, and I mean, justifiably, it's really awesome and cool. All you can do with botanicals and plants and resins and from the aromas to colors. But there's something to be said for just a really awesome bar of soap. All right, so let's just go ahead and make our soap. Now, this is a surprise. I didn't intend for this to happen for you, but I think you can see this. This is Lye Lint. This is Lye Lint, and lots of people ask questions about this. So what happened is I made up an itty bitty little batch of my sodium hydroxide and water solution, and then I didn't cover it. I just let it sit here. So it's still warm. I just let it sit here while I was getting things ready for the live. I've seen a lot of questions about that. You can strain that out if you want to. You can also just leave it in. It's completely harmless. It's kind of like soda ash that you get on your bars, but it's sitting on top of your lye solution. It's from exposure to air. So you can avoid that by covering your lye solution before you use it. So I hope that was helpful. And then here, I know I said we're making a real simple soap, but they asked for some aloe vera. So we have some aloe vera in here. I'm going to go ahead and just add the aloe vera. So this aloe vera is being added as extra water. I call it extra water because, as you know, I soap at 1:1 sodium hydroxide to water. So this is just a 50% solution, equal parts water and sodium hydroxide. One thing I love about that, as you know, is it lets me add any other liquid ingredient just as extra water. So I think there is like 140 grams water and 140 grams sodium hydroxide, and I'm added 70 grams of the aloe vera. So it's just really simple math. That brought my total liquid ratio up to 1.5 to 1. All right, let's bring this to a trace. I could pour now if I wanted to, I'm guessing. It's still really light, but I'm holding this up so you can see that it is emulsified. Someone mentioned that, it was Marcia, having a conversation with her after we did the water tests, and she said she was fascinated with the thought of me looking at the stick blender to see if everything was emulsified. So I'm just trying to hold this up to the camera. I think you can see that all right, where the oil and the water are not separating out. Making sure I can look too. I want you to be able to see what I need to be able to see too here. So yeah, we are emulsified. I could pour this if I wanted to. We have a bit higher water content than I usually do with that 1.5 to 1. So I could let it sit here for a minute and it would thicken up. It'd probably take a couple minutes, to a light tray. So I'm going to go ahead and just blend it another minute. And then I'll show you what I'm using for the mold. But that way it'll be, I want at least a thin trace, thicker than emulsion. to pour it into the mold, and I'll show you in a minute why. I just don't want it to leak through some of my lining. So I'll show you what I've got going on with my pipe mold. Now, I love my pipe molds. You all know I love my pipe molds. And I think I've shown you how I put them together, but I do, I quite often get questions about them. Let me see if I can pop, I already put the cap on, so I don't know if I can pop the cap off. Hold on. To get this off. So these are the caps I use. You can get these flat bottom caps if your local hardware store doesn't have them. It's just an ABS 3-inch. It says USA G2. I don't know what that is. It's just an ABS 3-inch cap. And that fits over the 3-inch pipes. But these are the hard ones. Then all I do is I have a piece of freezer paper and I just push that down over there, pop the cap on, and just kind of lean on it. And it pops right on. And these don't leak on me. Just like that, they don't leak. I don't have to line the mold this way if I don't want to. But the reason why I do want to is because I don't like popping my molds or having to rely on the freezer to pop the mold to get the soap to pop out, because the soap can get suctioned, kind of vacuumed, and adhered to the sidewalls. I used to never line my pipe molds. I would pop them in the freezer, and then about 3 hours later, they'd either pop out, and if they didn't pop out, I'd say drop them from chest height onto, I would drop them out on the back stoop out back and just drop the pipe and then pop right out. So you can do that, but I think it's easier just to line them like that. Typically, that's all I do. If I've got a bunch of curl in here, I'll put a little bit of oil right here to make this adhere and stick to the side of the mold. And then I'll put a little bit of oil right here and make sure that adheres to the paper where it overlaps. And then I would actually do that at the bottom of the mold so that none of the soap comes up around. But usually once you start pouring, and you can see in there, I've got, I think you can see. Can you see? Kinda. It's so hard having you look down the middle of something. But it's flush down at the bottom is what you'll have to believe me if you can't really see. But as long as that's flush, you should be fine. And I do, when I pour, I hold my finger kind of on that lip just to make sure things, stay snug against the sidewalls of the pipe. And let's see. Oh yeah, we're at a light trace here. That'll be fine. So let's pour our soap. And there we go. We made some just lovely, beautiful soap. And here we are next day, and I'm just running it through the splitter here, and then we're going to cut it up into the little half round shapes that I used for this style of soap. And you'll notice that we have a lighter color around the rim of the soap. That is from not fully gelling, so I did not force a gel on this one. I just let the gel happen. And when I pour this at a lighter trace like we did here, I'll get that lovely kind of lighter rind around the soap. I think it's just a beautiful effect. Uncolored, still beautiful with a bit of color to it. And remember, you can get my go-to vegan palm-free recipe plus all of my tips and tricks for creating natural handmade soaps over at soapyfriends.com. And the recipe is included with the membership plan as well. I hope to see you in the next Soapy session. And please be sure to tag me with any of your wonderful, natural, uncolored, and unscented soaps at my Soapy Friends on Facebook, Instagram, and here on YouTube. Happy soaping, my friends.